Hi, Professor Patty. To begin Project 1, what I noticed about the exhibit was the accentuation of minorities expressing their feelings in regards to racial or social inequalities or injustices. One part of the exhibit that spoke to me and really stood out to me in particular was the section that was labeled "We Can't Breathe." And within this part of the exhibit, there were shirts that brought up the topic of sexual harassment. One shirt wrote, "We are not objects." And another, the one right next to it, spoke to an audience saying that just because you haven't personally experienced sexual harassment, that does not mean that you shouldn't care or that you should not make it a priority to try and stop sexual harassment or speak out against sexual harassment. I don't really have too many questions in regards to the Sandra Bland exhibit. I felt like it was really well put together. I do have one question though in relation to the artificial intelligence that simulated the Sandy Speaks conversations. This question is, did she have any run-ins with law enforcement that were negative prior to her videos that she started, Sandy Speaks, that inspired her to speak to people of color about how they should feel about these authorities? Or was her advice simply based on what media portrays law enforcement to be like? This obviously speaks in regards and relates to social justice, because in her conversations, she wants to educate a younger generation, being our generation, to be able to stand up against racial injustices with law enforcement. And she really took the time in her Sandy Speaks videos to clarify how she feels about minorities and racial injustices and whatnot. She also, what also caught my eye in the exhibit was how she spoke in her Sandy Speaks video. She started off her video saying, "Good mornings, my kings and queens," giving us a very positive vibe, which in a way was not shown in the video of her arrest. It was a very different attitude towards law enforcement in that moment than what she portrayed in her Sandy Speaks videos. So I guess that can also be my second question. The way she portrayed her Sandy Speaks videos, is that the way she wants the younger generation to handle situations with law enforcement? It's the way that she handled hers in the video that we watched in class. Next was the Claudia exhibit on Citizen. And what I noticed right off the bat, as soon as I walked in to the gallery, was a quote by Claudia saying, "The past is a life sentence, a blunt instrument aimed at tomorrow." And basically, I feel she's coming from a perspective of the world and its people have been racist for quite some time, and that correlates to the past. And because of slavery and because of racial injustices in the past, that has created a life sentence for minorities and people of color. Questions I had about Claudia, the author of Citizen, was what were her personal experiences as a Black woman. She goes into some of her memories that were evoked in Citizen, but I don't believe her memories completely exemplify how she feels as a black woman, because I, as a Caucasian, will never understand what it's like to be a black woman in today's day and age. And I feel like her stories in her book really show situations of what it could be like to be a black woman in this society. But I really feel like for someone like myself to understand that, which I never will ever understand what it's like to be a black woman in today's day and age, but I feel like she could go in so much more depth being a black woman, and also what she can do as a black woman and the power she has as a black woman. Another part of the exhibit that I noticed was a picture of what seems to be a young black male. And below it is the question, did that just come out of my mouth, his mouth, your mouth? And this relates to what we have spoken about in regards to microaggressions in our class, and how someone can be completely taken aback by a racial slur. Like, did they really just say that? And in regards to how my opinion changed in the gallery, it really showed me and gave me an idea of what it's like to be a person of color today. And again, like I said, I will never completely understand what that's like, because I'm a Caucasian female. I will never understand that. And yeah, so